Good morning, students. So today I am going to again continue with the decision tree concept. Okay. So in the previous class I saw that the font is not so clear in the video, so I am just trying to increase the font so that you can refer to this. I hope this will be clear in this today's video. Okay. Now, so I given an introduction about this decision tree concept. It's about a classification model, right? It's even called as a prediction tree. The training data, whatever we are taking, in that we are going to have some of the variables as a input variable, and one among that will be considered as a output variable, right, or a prediction variable, you can say. So the tree structure will have different terms here, like we represent this with a nodes and leaf nodes, branches, like that. So basically this decision tree concept works with the concept of if-then cases. If a particular condition, then you are making a decision, something like that. So all the cases we try to represent in terms of a if-then statement, right? So overall the decision tree will look like this, and these are the terms, different terms with respect to decision tree, right? Root, branch, internal nodes, leaf nodes, depth. So these all things are already covered in the previous class, so I will not go in depth with these things because many more things to be covered in the further topics. So let me go with that. Here about the decision tree we understood, and we understood that how exactly it works, on what basis we are going to decide which will be the root of a decision tree or which will be the next data. So here we have taken an example of a bank details of a Portuguese bank, so which will have some of the information like a person's job, person's marital status, education, then whether he will be default to a loan or not, then housing loan he is having, personal loan, a contact number, then the previous marketing outcome. So all those things, based on that you are going to say whether to subscribe or not to subscribe. So based on this analysis, based on the data set, we are getting some of the figures and facts out of it, right? So which is going to tell that different categories of job is available in our data set. So all these, how many entries are there. Similarly, for the other data also we have got some information, right? This is to analyze that how many entries of what type, the training data set, how strong your training data set is. So to analyze that, we are looking at the final data that says subscribed equal to no case are more than subscribed equal to yes. So there are only 211 entries for yes and 1789 entries for no. So based on that we will be calculating the probability of the whole class, and then we are going to decide which will come to the next level, next depth level of a tree, to decide which variable we are going to consider in a decision tree. We have to use two measures. Two measures are, one is information gain and another one is entropy, right? So based on entropy and information gain, we are going to decide which node can come as the next level of the tree. So here, when we are going for splitting of the tree, we have to apply some criteria to stop the extension or the splitting of the tree, right? If you don't stop it, it may go infinitely and your algorithm or your model may not be a efficient one, right? So for that reason, we have some of the criteria applied to stop, that is a leaf node if it is satisfying the minimum purity threshold. If I consider that a particular node, when I am splitting, right, so it's having only around 50% of data falling into that particular node. So further splitting is not possible because all are falling into the same node, then I can stop that. Then tree cannot further split with the preset minimum purity. So we have already like only this much of data is permitted to go for the next split. Then if it is satisfying that particular level, then you have to stop it. Or if at all I decide some maximum depth of a tree, based on that also you can stop extending a tree. This is the formula for calculating a entropy. The probability of x, the probability log of probability of x. So you are considering x for how many classes you are taking in your data set, for those many things. So here in the example we have only two cases, subscribe yes, subscribe no. So for that we are going to calculate the entropy values, right? So this example, particular example is already done. Okay, let me go with this. So here I am going to put a conditional entropy also, which I already explained in the previous class in detail. So I am just brushing up the things. Conditional entropy is something like based on some parameter, some variable, how many yes, how many no's are there. So here I am considering the contact are of three values. If a contact is cellular, how many yes are there? If a contact is telephone, then how many yes are there? So this is the probability values I am getting when I am looking at all 2000 entries in a data set, and this is the additional entropy for subscribed based on the contract or condition on the contract contact as a one of the attribute. So this is the value I am considering as a conditional entropy. Then the information gain is nothing but total information entropy of a subscribed minus the conditional entropy. The difference between the information gain and the conditional information gain entropy is checked with this, right? So I am getting something like a information gain of a contact is 2%, you can see, right? So based on this we go on considering for all other values, right? So this particular table is telling us that how the values are, like how the information gain for the different variables are considered. So you can see that P outcome is having 2%, 2.8 you can say, right? Then contact is 2.0, housing is 1.3, right? Among all these variables, right, these are the data we have, and the information gain for all those values are in these ranges, right? So when I am looking at all these ranges, I am finding that P outcome is having a higher information gain, right? You can see that it's having very less, and loan is having very less, marital status very less, right? When I look at that, so it is having something a higher value compared to all other variables. So because of this reason, in the tree structure what we considered, this is taken at the next level, right? What is the next variable I have? Next highest variable I have is education here, and then comes the job. So let's see what's the value of education and job, right? So education is having something like this, and then job. I considered the P outcome, then contact, instead of contact I am taking this, because after deciding on that I am going to this. See, once I decide the P outcome, again I will be recalculating the information gain of a remaining variables. So based on that again I am deciding which variable to take further, right? So this is how, when I am looking at all 2000 entries, I am going to get all these figures. So like in the previous class I mentioned that we are going to check these values, calculation of these values, but it's not so easy because we don't have a complete data set. Even if it is there, looking at all 2000 entries and calculating manually is very difficult. So I am just relying on the values what is given here. What we can do is we can take some limited data set, something like 10 or 15 or 20 entries. On that we can do a calculation of this. Okay, just a minute. So this is all about how to calculate the information gain and how to calculate the entropy. Let me just revise these things. We are getting it for a attribute called contact. Similarly, if I want to do for education, right? So I got some value for the education here, something like 0.0034. How I got this is, what I will be doing, education is having some of the values, right? What are the values I have for education? Let's see. So here for the value of education, what are the categories I have in the education is, okay. So you can find that a primary education is one, then I have a secondary education, I have a tertiary education, right? Apart from this, I have even unknown education here, where they have not mentioned anything. So altogether, this 335 plus 1010 plus 564 plus then unknown is 91. So altogether, I am going to get it as 2000 entries for the education, right? I hope you are finding this clearly. You can refer to the textbook. What I am pointing out here is categories or the classes of education. So now if I want to calculate the entropy of this, of education, you can even find here. These are the 4 classes I have in the education variable, right? So similarly, how we did for a contact, same way what I can do is, first thing I will make how many entries of secondary, primary, tertiary and unknown. So I will be getting 4 columns. So how many entries of this particular class, right? Something like, I'll just write down here, the probability of education I'll be doing. So how many classes I have? I have primary, secondary, tertiary and unknown class. So there are 4 categories of education, right? So the probability I am going to find, out of the 2000 entries, how many are primary, right? Out of 2000 entries, how many are secondary, how many are tertiary, and then what I will do is, subscribe equal to yes when the education is primary. I have to again find the probability of that. So subscribe equal to yes when the education is secondary. So I am going to get some values like this. Okay. Similarly, a probability of subscribe equal to no when the education is the conditional entropy based on the education. So out of this 2000 entries, how many are no in the case of primary? So I am going to get some figure. So this is the probability I am going to get for all these values as I calculated here for the contact. Then I am going to get a entropy of subscribe based on a education, right? First I am going to take a value of this, the whole probability irrespective of whether it is subscribed yes or no. So I will be taking that P of x, that small x, and then the value of yes and the value of no, right? P of x log P of x equal to 2, you can say, log P of x equal to 2. So similarly for all the categories, I am going to get a 4 entries here and 1 some values. So this is what is my entropy, conditional entropy on education. Then what you have to do? You have to find a information gain. How we are getting information gain? How many are subscribed totally? So this is already calculated in the previous content, right? minus the whatever thing you are going to calculate from the calculation is going to give you this. So after calculating that, I am getting the education as something like 0.0034. Okay. Similarly, it is even applicable for all other variables. Okay. Now moving to the actual content of today's, that is detecting significant splits. How do you find which is a proper split for the next step, right? So it's not generally with a brute force method or with a trial and error we are deciding. We have to apply some specific technique or the strategy to decide which will be the next node. So what logic we are using here is now for example, I have a number of classes A and B, right? There are number of classes of A and B in a parent node. Then NAL represents the number of classes of A going to the left of the node, okay, left of the child node. Then similarly, NBL represents the number of class B going towards the left of the node. Okay, let me make it clear. How is that? When you come to this previous diagram again, so here how many are going towards the left, and in this how many are of subscribed equal to yes and subscribed equal to no. So NAL, NBL. Okay. Fine. So the same thing, the number of class A and B towards the left side representing a class A and class B, okay, going to the right side. The similar thing, if I am considering for the right side, I am representing it as NBR, NAR, right? NAR towards the right side belonging to class A, towards the right side belonging to class B. So those number of entries we are trying to find that. So based on these things, we are going to calculate the probability of the portion, the whole content or the number of entries towards the left side, number of entries towards the right side. So how we are calculating that is a number of left side A classes plus the number of left side B classes divided by whole number of A class plus B class. Total number of A and B classes in our entry. So this is already done in the earlier things. Let me go further, I will explain that. Okay. Similarly, if I want to calculate the portion towards the right side, that how many entries are going towards the right side, number of class A right side and number of class B right side divided by the whole A and B entries of the classes. So this will give you the how many entries are going towards the right and how many going towards the left. Okay. Now this calculation will tell the significance of the split, whether this split is going to give me a good result or not. To decide about that, we are going to have a calculation of K. So what this is going to tell is, it measures how much a split deviates from what would be expected in the random data. So from the data, if I am splitting on particular variable, with the K value I can make out that whether this deviation, whether this split is going to give me a good result according to the data what I have in my data set. Because even a little change in your data may vary a lot in your decision tree, right? So how I am calculating this is, how many are going towards the left, NAL dash it is. So it is calculated as total number of A entries in the data set into the portion which has went towards the left. That is called as NAL, and we are going to find out the difference between how many are of class A when you are looking at the overall data set, and with the condition that how many are going towards the class A. The difference between this, a square of that. So this is a common method, least square value we are going to find for the errors. The same way we are doing and out of the whole entries, what is the percentage of that error, right? NAL dash is in the sense the whole portion which is falling into a class A, right? The portion or the percentage of going towards the left side, including a class A, then I am going to find how many I am taking towards the left. Out of these cases, only these many are coming towards the left. What is the error I am getting for that? Similarly for B, similarly for C, sorry, not C, towards the right, A, right, B. Okay? Left A, left B, right A, right B. Okay? So with this calculation, I am going to get a K value. So now understanding what this K value indicates is, if the K value is small, the information gain from the split is not significant. Okay, whatever the information gain I am going to consider from that particular attribute in construction of a decision tree is not significant. So if K value is big, it would suggest that the information gain from the split is significant, means whatever the decision we made to make that as a root node, as a node, is a significant one. Okay, let's see the example here. So here the example, before I go to the example, once have a look at the tree. Look at this tree, right? Initially I have 2000 entries. In that 2000 entries, these many are of no cases and 211 are S cases. Okay, so I am considering the no cases out of 2000. In this entries, these many entries, I am having a no which are having a P outcome value as failure, other and unknown. These many are no with the condition that the outcome are with this. If the outcome is success, there are only 58 entries which are falling into S cases, and out of this the other cases are no cases. Just try to remember these figures, right? We are going to use the same values here for calculating this K values, right? So coming to this example here, based on the P outcome, okay, for the example, as I said, how many no cases are there in an overall portion, in an overall data set? There are 1789 no cases and 211 yes cases out of 2000 entries. So that is S cases. Then in that I am going to take a left side of it, because I decided that P outcome with some values at the left side, with some right side. So left side values with the 3 values as I shown in the diagram, there are 1763 entries which are belonging to class A, that is no. Okay, and 179 are of S classes with the condition that P outcome is something like failure, unknown or something like that. And here B class is no, subscribe equal to no, and towards the right P outcome equal to success. In that these are no cases and these are S cases. Okay, so this is how the data we have. Now I am going to apply to calculate the PL value. What is that PL value says? The PL value says that total portion towards the left. Out of 2000, these are the entries which are going towards the left side, right? And these are the entries which are going towards the right side. So this is the probability that 97% are of left side and 0.29% of values towards the right side, right? Then so here we got these values NAL, NBL, NAR and NBR values, right? Those are the values. Putting all these values into a formula, right? NAL dash. What is that NAL dash? NAL dash is NA into PL, right? NAL into PL. So I am getting some higher range positive values because I am going to add this NaL 1763 into this. So I am getting some values like this. Then similarly NBL dash, right, same values I am multiplying with the PL, yeah, PL. Then this is for NAR dash. So I am getting all these values. Now putting all these into a formula for calculating a K value. For K value, so when I am putting all these values, I am getting a K value as something like this, 126, which suggests that a split is bigger enough, 126, right? So it is significant. Similarly, I will be applying same thing for the other variables and tries to find whether the K value is significant or not. Okay. So this is how data is calculated, right? K value is calculated to decide whether a particular attribute what I need to consider is significant to go for a split or not, right? Then here in this particular example we got a tree structure as this. Again I am referring to the tree structure because I am going to use this for the one more corrections or modification in this. Okay, let's have a proper look on this. First one is a root node. I decided P outcome as the next level, then the education as next level, then job as next level. So I am just stopping with this. Even there are even many other attributes to be considered, something like a contact, a loan, personal loan, home loan. There are different entries are there, but I am not considering because I decided or I found out that these are more significant attributes to consider and this is sufficient to make a decision. Okay. Now, in the same example, what author is trying to explain here is, if at all in that data set I include one more extra variable called duration, right? Assume that the data set now includes a continuous variable called duration, which represents the number of seconds and the last phone conversation with the bank lasted as a part of a previous marketing campaign. Okay. So what does it mean? We are considering one more entry which is a continuous value. See, for the simplicity in this data set, we considered most of the data as a categorical data, right? You can find that all the values are categorical values. This is having some category as entries, this is also categorical, this is categorical, right? There is no any continuous entry in this, continuous data is present in the data set. So now, if at all my data set is having some continuous data into that, which is considered as a duration. Duration is a phone call with the bank people, right? How many seconds? Yes, it is taken in a second. Yes, the number of seconds. How many seconds of conversation has happened in the earlier previous marketing campaign? So based on that, I am going to decide or I am going to make a decision here. So in that case, I supposed to include that in my tree, that in my decision tree. So if I am going to include some continuous data, my tree may look like something like this, right? A completely different structure by adding one extra attribute to the tree structure. The first thing is I am considering how many no entries in my data set. So the no entries are still remaining same, right? The outcome is same of that, but I am getting that duration as my second significant attribute for the split. After doing all the calculation of K value, after doing the information gain and in conditional entropy, I am finding that the duration is the one which is giving more significance towards the split. So what I'll do is I'll consider some threshold value, that is 456 seconds of phone call. Lesser than that, greater than that, I'm making a split of it, right? So in a lesser than cases, I have 1615 entries. This is going to again divided into further things, right? So I'm considering the next significant attribute is P outcome, and here the next significant attribute after greater than 456 is a contact, right? Then again I am considering the duration. If the contact is something like a telephone or unknown, then the time, how much time it is, whether it is even greater than that, greater than 456, again I am considering one more parameter, whether lesser than or greater than 1004. Here lesser than 700 or greater than 700. Because it's already greater than 456, I want to check the different range of a duration, then I want to check the job, right? You can find that the different values at this depth of 1, 2 and 3. At the depth of 3, I am considering duration here, right? I already made a decision based on the duration, but I won't even go into a depther value of the duration. Based on that, I am making a decision, right? So this is how it is going to be decided. Now let's check with one of the test case here. So this is the data I am taking to test one sample, whether the decision will be subscribed equal to yes or no. Okay. Now I have an entry for this. This is a test data I am doing. Job is retired, marital status is married, education is secondary, default on loan is no, housing loan is, loan is no, personal loan no, contact is cellular, duration 598 and P outcome is unknown. I have to decide whether subscribed equal to yes or no. So I will be checking with the tree structure here, right? I will be checking that the duration is greater than 456, the contact is cellular, right? Then see, coming to the tree, the first decision what I am making here is the duration. So duration is greater than 456, so I will come towards the right side of the tree. Then I will check whether the contact is through telephone or unknown or cell. So the entry in the test case says that it is having cell. Then I will come to duration, whether it is lesser than 700 or greater than 700. 598 is lesser than 700, so I will go towards the left side of the tree. Then job equal to retired, right? Where is that retired entry is here? Management. Okay. Let me check it properly. Management, service, unknown. Okay. Job equal to retired, right? Job is retired, so it comes towards the right side of it and it says yes. It says yes. So according to this test case falls into S category, right? This particular case falls into S category according to the training set, data set what we use to develop a decision tree, and our decision tree is going to make a decision as the subscribed equal to S for this. Okay. Now decision tree algorithm, how exactly it works, right? Yeah, before going to that, there are different varieties of decision tree: ID3, C4.5, CART. These are the three different variations in the decision tree. See, the main concept behind all these algorithm is same, that calculation of entropy, calculation of information gain, then checking the significance of the split, all those things, basic things are same. Only a little variations will be there in the tree structure while constructing, right? So now I am going to start with this algorithm steps. What all input we are giving to this ID3 algorithm is, first it will take A is a set of a categorical input variable. I am giving what are the input variables I need to consider to make a decision. So I am giving list of all the categorical attributes here. Then P be the output variable. What is my prediction variable that I am going to give as a P value, and T is nothing but your training data set. Okay. So three things I have to give as an input to my ID3 algorithm. What are the input variables? Preferably a categorical variables I am giving as an input. Then what is my prediction variable, that is outcome variable, and the third one is a complete data set, training data set. Okay. Then if a T belonging to null, T is means if your data set is null, then you are just returning null. Why is this condition? I will let you know after completion of this. If all records in T have the same value for P, return a single node with that value. If at all in my training set all are belonging to subscribed equal to S, then there is no point of constructing a tree. Then I'll just create one node and say that all the 2000 entries comes to a same case. If not, if a attribute is null, attribute are your input values what I am giving. If it is belonging to null, null in the sense I have not given input variable to that, return a single node with the most frequent value of P in T. So I am just creating a single node which is having more specific classes, that is more entries of S or more entries of no. I am just creating a one node of that particular predicting values. If not, further I will move, compute information gain for each attribute, right? See, I considered all the exceptional cases here. From the line number 8, your actual algorithm starts, right? Compute information gain for each attribute in A relative to T with respect to your training data for all the attributes A. So in this example, we have taken a contact, we have taken a personal loan, home loan, right? Education. For all those attributes, we are going to calculate the information gain. Then pick a attribute D with the largest gain. I am considering one among that which is having a largest information gain, and I name it as D. Let D1, D2 up to DM, that is the categories of that D value, be the value of the attribute D. Yes. So for example, when I taken a contact as my particular attribute with the higher information gain, I have taken a 3 categories into that. So this small D1, D2 up to DM is nothing but those values of the same category, same attribute. Then partition T into T1, T2 and Tm according to the values of T. So your training data T, I am going to make a category. So that's what I am calculating the probability. Return a tree with a root D and branches labeled with this. Okay, that's why the initial one, the node which I have taken is P outcome with some values at left side, P outcome as unknown and failure as left side, and right side as success. So I am making a partition, a whole data into a partitions like that. Then I am creating a tree for that. Going respectively to trees, again with that particular data, I am going to call recursively ID3. ID3 A minus D. What is that D? I already considered P outcome as one of the best significant attributes. I will remove that from the input variable for the next split. I will consider the same outcome. T1 is the data which is considering a part of it, because only falling into a left side, only falling into right side. I am making a two set of it, T1 to Tm. only T1 is considered for going to the left side of it by removing a D attribute. Similarly, I am taking a T2 for the one more branch for that. So in this example, even if there are 3 P outcome values, one is failure, unknown and success, what we did is failure and unknown are grouped together as one category and success as one category. So we will be getting only 2 subtrees. So according to that, we will be calling ID3 for one and ID3 for second branch. So here what I will do is, A is including all my input variables excluding P outcome, that is my input variable for the left subtree. P is the partition, that outcome variable, the predicting variable, again subscribe equal to yes or no. T1 is having only the cases where P outcome is failure and unknown. So only those entries are passed to this particular function as a training data set. And for the right side, again I am considering the same input excluding P outcome and the predicting value same subscribe. T2 excluding all failure and unknown cases of P outcome, only success cases will be taken into this training data. So this is, again it is going to call a function. It's a recursive definition. So it is going to make a call for that. I am checking that whether tree is null. No. Then I am checking whether all the records in T have falling into a same class. See here in the tree structure, you can find that all are falling into no cases where P outcome is failure, other and unknown, all are falling into this, so I am stopping it. If at all it is having any other options where it's not falling into same cases, some are yes, some are no, then further I will make a split. So that is what the condition says, that if at all the nodes in that training data is falling into same cases, so you need to stop the further split. If all records in T, now I have taken it as T1, if it is falling into all same classes, return a single node with that value and comes out. Otherwise, I am going to check that return a single node with the most frequent value P, right? Single node I am creating and coming out. If not, further I will consider the information gain excluding D now. Excluding P outcome, I am going to find an information gain for all other attributes. Then based on that, I am going to decide which is having a highest significance, that becomes a next root node for the next splitting node, right? So this will repeat until a tree becomes a null, until your training data becomes a null, right? I consider all left right data, and lastly somewhere you have to stop the recursive call. That's why this condition says that if your training data is analyzed for all the entries, then you have to stop it, right? So this is a recursive definition of ID3 algorithm of decision tree, right? Now similarly for C4.5, right, there are some improvement to ID3 in C4.5, that is, this algorithm can handle a missing data. In ID3, because it is all dependent on the training data what I am considering, each and every entry will be analyzed, but in C4.5 algorithm, it's going to handle a missing data, right? Wherever there is some unknown entries, attribute values, it evaluates the gain of an attribute by considering only the record where attributes are defined. So it will exclude those unknown values and it considers only the value which are present, right? In this C4.5, it is able to do both categorical and continuous attributes, whereas in ID3 it supports only a categorical values, but C4.5 supports both categorical and continuous values, right? So whereas the continuous values with some some condition, as we have taken the duration as greater than 450, lesser than 450. So we are going to decide like that. So this particular algorithm C4.5 also addresses the overfitting problem of a ID3. What is that overfitting problem is, it may construct a defined complex tree which would cause overfitting. That means I repeatedly take many conditions and the tree becomes very large and huge. So making a decision and coming to the conclusion takes lot of time. In that cases, ID3 is not a very strong one. So because of that, we prefer to go for a C4.5, which will able to handle the overfitting problem of a ID3. What it will do is, it will apply a pruning concept to decide whether to go further, whether to remove the less entries or need to consider or not. So it will make some decision in between and then it prunes the tree, right? Then there is one more variety of decision tree, that is called as classification and regression tree, in short as a CART. So it's a decision tree with a specific implementation, right? It handles the continuous attributes as C4.5. This is also able to handle that. It works based on the entropy based calculation, as we have seen in ID3 also, right? And it even works with a Gini diversity index defined with a different formula. The formula is different in calculating the values of attribute in the earlier ID3 and here in CART. Only that is the difference in the calculation of these three algorithms. Okay. So this is all about a decision tree algorithm and the varieties of the decision tree. Now evaluating a decision tree, that means you have to consider some of the points before you decide which type of decision tree you should use, right? So here decision tree uses a greedy algorithm. The overall decision tree concept works with a greedy technique here, right? So it always chooses the best available information at that moment. Means when you make a root node, then you considered all the attributes. When you are going to the next, at that particular thing, which is the efficient or the good result it is going to consider. So it works with a greedy technique. Then, so there are some cases where you need to evaluate the decision tree. Something like evaluate whether the split of the tree make a sense. You have to consider, you have to check that whatever the case I am considering for the splitting, whether it really makes any sense or not, right? You have to evaluate. So it comes with a practice, you can say, or with some validity checking you have to do. Then you have to look for the depth of a tree also. Sometimes a depth of a tree also matters a lot. Having too many layers and obtaining nodes with few members might sign a overfitting. For example, I am considering the same example of the bank entries. I go on doing it for something 6 or 7 level of depth of a tree, and in every branch I am getting hardly a 5 or 6 entries into that. So that is something like tree is getting overfitted. I am getting very less data into each branch to make a decision. So that's not the good decision to go for a tree. So you have to evaluate on that cases also. So here in this particular thing, a overfitting model can be described something like, I have some threshold value, I have some training data, and this is a test data. A training data is giving some values, still here it is fine. If it is even going beyond lesser than that means it's taking more condition check to make a decision. Till here it was okay because I am getting accuracy of the result, but if I keep checking many conditions to make a accuracy, then it's not a good decision to go for. So here In the test cases, what I'm doing is I'm checking some conditions, right? After this, it's taking too much time to make a decision. So that's not the best decision tree which I'm constructing, right? So because of these cases, I have to stop somewhere with a limitation with the threshold values, right? Then, so here decision tree learning overfitting can be caused by either the lack of a training data or biased data in the training set. I may be having some redundant data or some irrelevant data. Because of that, we will be unable to go for making a decision properly. So there are some approaches to avoid or to handle the overfitting of a decision tree. One is stop growing the tree early before it reaches to a point where all the training data is perfectly classified. Before you make a perfect decision, you have to stop somewhere the training data. That's what. Stop growing the tree early before it reaches the point where all the training data is perfectly classified. The second one is grow the full tree and then stop and then post prune the tree with methods such as reduced error pruning and rule based pruning. These are the two techniques. As I already mentioned in the earlier thing, pruning is the method to reduce the size of a tree or to make it efficient tree. You have to use a post pruning, means first we consider the tree as it goes on growing, and after that we have to do a post pruning either with the concept of reduced error pruning or rule based pruning. So with this you can make a tree as a efficient tree. Then in case of a evaluation, even there are further points to consider, whether it is computationally inexpensive. You have to check all the things. So these further evaluation points will be taken up in the coming class. So in this particular class, I just discussed about how to construct a decision tree and how to consider the categorical and continuous variable in construction of a decision tree. So further topic will be covered in the next coming class.